Ladies and gentlemen, chess is hard. And it's so hard that on this channel, I created a playlist called How to Lose at Chess, where I take some of the best games that have been sent in to me by viewers, by subscribers. You should be a subscriber if you're a viewer, by the way. You know, just look down, see if you've clicked it or not. And some of these games are just absolutely catastrophic. Like, you folks managed to do things on the chessboard that I never thought were possible. And every single time you send me in a game to the How to Lose at Chess playlist, it just gets better and better. And today's video was no exception. In today's video, we have the equivalent of the Hunger Games. It's 600 Elo Chess. We've got kings making mad dashes all over the board. And the beautiful thing about showing a game like this to all of you is there's still so much you can learn while also hysterically laughing and crying. Like, if your stomach doesn't hurt at the end of this game, not because of the Taco Bell that you ate, but because of the game, you know, if you're not laughing that hard, then I failed. So without further ado, let's check out this game that was sent in to me. This is a game between Yamda and Link, rated 600. And the game begins with the move d4, and we have a Dutch defense. Now, I don't recommend the Dutch to beginners. I don't recommend the Dutch to beginners because your king gets very weak. Dutch is an opening that's a little bit better for intermediate players. And actually, I have a... Just kidding, I'm not going to fake promote any... I'm going to make a course on the Dutch for intermediate players, but I haven't done that yet. Now, one of the best ways to play against the Dutch defense is the Staunton Gambit, which is just gambiting a pawn, but getting very quick development with knight c3, bishop comes out. But white plays bishop f4. White is a London player. Okay, now, you wouldn't necessarily correlate a London chess game with the excitement. Oh, London is boring. Oh, London. No. So, knight f6, just developing a knight. Life is good. e3, developing the bishop, the knight, right? And now black plays g6. So black is playing the Leningrad Dutch. I don't think black knows that. Black is just trying to put the bishop on g7 and castle, build a little fianchetto for the bishop. White plays knight d2, now bishop g7. And here white does something absolutely just genius, okay? Absolutely genius. If you're wondering why their time is like above 5 minutes, because they're playing 5-5. Every time they make a move, they gain time. I think they're playing 5-5. They are playing 5-5. White does something genius. Of course, if you're in the opening, you want to play c3, bishop d3, knight f3. But white does something here. By the way, this is mini lesson number 1. White does something here called adjusting to what they see. And they're not just pre-moving the moves of the opening. They're not just going, like they're going, wait a minute. This king could be opened up with the move h4. This is brilliant. Brilliant move. And the point is that white wants to go h5 and sacrifice to attack the king. And castling doesn't really prevent white's idea. It just makes it a bit more risky. White just goes h5 and then sacks the rook. Just sacks the rook to infiltrate with the queen. Does white have any decisive attack? No. In fact, white is down 2 points of material. But look at the eval. The computer actually thinks that white is doing very well. The reason for that is white's going to back up, castle long, and start an attack on the h-file. This is fantastic stuff. This is one of the reasons I don't recommend the Dutch to beginner players, because it's very tough to deal with, and against a good, well-prepared opponent, like, they're going to do stuff like this. I mean, this is really, really sophisticated stuff against the Dutch, and if anybody wants to learn a good weapon against the Dutch defense, specifically the Leningrad, look at this. You got this h-pawn stuff to open up the h-file, and this is potentially bad news. Now, I love black's next move. This is a very sophisticated move, queen e8. Because when you see that your opponent is going to try to attack you, what is your opponent's most powerful piece? It's the queen, so why not trade the queen? Look at the eval go woo, all the way down to black's favor. One trade, but it's an equal trade, right? No. Queen e8, white has advantage. It's 0.5, 0.6 if white backs up. Now, in the game, white plays bishop c4 check. Not a bad move at all. Bishop c4 check is a very reasonable move. Black can now block the check or move the king. Blocking in this case is better, because you can also build up a wall in the center. But black plays king h8, and now white avoids a queen trade by bringing the queen back. And white just has a better position. Why does white have a better position? Because despite being down material, white's pieces are way more useful. The utility value of 2 knights and 2 bishops is significantly higher than the value of a rook and these other pieces which haven't moved at all, because the rook is an endgame piece, and, you know, white just has very clear attacking possibilities. So here comes knight c6. And what black needs to do now is build in the center. If you can, you should build in the center. Everything happens from the center, okay? It's like, best example I can give you, a big city, all right? You travel in a big city, you get access to anything, all right? Restaurants, shows, a bunch of different cultures, nationalities, cuisines, all right? Like, you're at the crossroads of everything. New York, Tokyo, Singapore, a lot of other big cities, all right? I was gonna say Los Angeles, but, you know, New York over LA. So you gotta be in the center. I don't like what black does here. Black plays b6. Now you'll notice the eval skyrockets. What? How can the evaluation skyrocket off of a mistake? Like, what does that even do? Where's the blunder? Well, it has nothing to do with this. You see, folks, as you get better at chess, you're gonna realize not all moves are like the same. I mean, the move b6 is not, you're not blundering a rook or a queen. It's the fact that you're not addressing the demands of the position, and the demands of the position are as such. You gotta attack the center. You gotta fight back. Because what does white want? White wants this. Well, you can interrupt that. Like, you can maybe push back, fight back against your opponent, all right? By playing a move b6, you're not fighting back, and now white can very easily play a knight move and rook h1, and that's exactly what white did. White developed a knight. Of course, I don't like knight e2. You should go to the center. But after bishop b7, rook h1, white is just crushing. I mean, white has played a breathtaking game of chess, all right? And unfortunately, black plays h6, doesn't guard, and just allows this, and that's it. The game is over. But the game is not over, because if the game really was over, this would never be a YouTube video. Buckle up. If you're still here, get ready for the ride of your life. Bishop takes h6, and the game is lost. I mean, the game is all but lost. Bishop h6, queen h6 is mate. Any backwards bishop move is also mate. The only way that black can survive here is by giving up the bishop and then blocking this. And even then, you will lose in a matter of moves. So queen g6 is what black plays. And now white needs to back up. White does not need to take. If you take, the king takes, and actually the king is safe. That's exactly what white does. White gets a bit of tunnel vision. Just because you went in once doesn't mean you got to go in a second time, all right? Bishop g5, bishop f4. Well, in some cases it does, but not in this case. In this case, bishop takes g7 is wrong, because actually the black king gets the safety. And not only does the black king get the safety, black now can actually fight back on the h-file, which is nuts, all right? Like, it could go from bad to worse here. White plays knight f3, and by a miracle of God, is not completely lost. I mean, it looks like white is just losing here. Queen g3, rook h1, right? Well, as it turns out, white can actually use the knight defensively. But the thing about this move is that it's not just defensive, it's also offensive. Why is it offensive? You're attacking the queen, right? You're actually attacking the queen. And the computer here thinks that this is the best move. Giving up the queen, taking this queen, losing the rook, and taking this, and just being down a pawn. Like, the computer literally sees nothing better. And black being 600 here also doesn't see anything better. And we all know that when the position is nice and close, you can always rely on a 600 level player to throw everything in the garbage. And now black is completely lost again. Okay, black is completely lost. Black is completely lost because black has offered a trade of queens, forgetting that that is defended by the pawn, and that knight can take the pawn with check. Knight takes f5 is check, and now the only solution that black has here is to take the knight, lose the queen, but take the rook. Boom, boom, check. Game goes on. Is black lost? Unquestionably, but the game goes on. So knight takes f5. Now your options, okay? Sack the queen and get a rook and a knight, or move the king and lose immediately. Now, you guys are probably thinking, oh, he's setting us up. I mean, obviously the king is going to move, right? No. Actually, in this position, black... no, yeah, black lost the game on the spot. Queen g4, and that's it. That's it. The king is out. Queen g7 is mate in a couple moves. King's out in the open. These pieces are useless. The rook hits nothing. Rook h8, and there is M on the eval bar. There is no sign of life for black. Queen to g7 is game over, because after here, you have knight to g3 mate. You also have a variety of other mates. I mean, you have probably g4, king e4, and about 700 different ways to mate, as long as you don't let the king come here. But instead, white plays the move, knight back to g3. Is that a blunder? No. It attacks the rook. This is a thing. That's a thing. You don't always have to give mate. You could just eat all the pieces. Black plays rook h2. And now, knight e4 is mate in 1. Clean mate. And considering that you just moved the knight there, you would think that knight e4 is a natural follow-up. But okay, queen f5. King g7. Queen f7, king h6, knight f5, king g4, f4, king g4. It's mate in 1. You gave all the necessary checks, folks. You know what they say. You know what they say. When you have mate in 1, look for better. This is mate in 1, but this is a forced mate in 5 because this is queen g6, mate. King cannot come forward. Queen g6, everything is cut off. Game on. Okay, fine. It's not mate in 1. You accidentally blundered the knight. You blundered the knight, but it's fine because you have another knight. Remember how a couple of moves ago, knight move was mate? Well, you just lost the knight, so you might as well go knight g3. The king has no legal moves, actually, after knight g3. Knight g3 is game over. And white played knight to... Okay, bishop d3. Fine, king is on e6. Check. King is out in the open. The king now officially has 0 legal moves. If you give a check in this position, chances are it's mate. Chances are it's mate if you give a check. You could give a check with the knight. You can give a check with the pawn. You can give a check with the pawn. Pawn, pawn, knight, all mate. King's got absolutely no legal moves. Literally none. And here white successfully managed to not only avoid mating the king, okay? Not only avoid mating the king in 1. In this position, white managed to completely remove the letter M from the evaluation. Okay? Completely remove it. Because now the king can sneak in over here. And if you think that that is exactly what is happening in this game, you are right. But of course, black is a lunatic and does this. Okay? Now, probably an M will appear on the evaluation board because check, and instead of running into the position, now a3 can probably lead to a checkmate. Queen f5, king to b4, and an M has reappeared. An M has reappeared because actually queen b5, king a3, the king can come help. Is that above the pay grade for this level? Oh, 10,000%. So that does not happen. c3 is played, and there we go, folks. The king has now escaped. The king made it from f6 all the way to g7, h6, g5, g4, f5, e6, d5. It's made a million different ways. c4, b5, a5, b4, a3. I got news for you. There are now no more checks. Well, there are 2 checks, but they both lose the queen. And the black king, now instead of moving any of the other pieces, black takes the pawn. Not needed, but for good measure. And white plays b4, and black plays rook to g2, trying to set up a battery. Now you may notice that queen to d5 wins a rook. You're right. Queen g2, that's just a fork. All right, rook to g2. Now, you guys are probably thinking, well, now black's gonna win. I know how this goes. I've seen this a million times. No, you haven't. White's position is still completely solid. All right, white just hasn't been able to mate. That's okay. Queen f7 check. King a3, queen g... all right, now here come the rooks. Here come the rooks. Okay, but there's still no threat. So queen g4, attacking the pawn on e6. Now, here black has to find rook e2, bishop e2, and utilize the pin with bishop a6. I mean, that's not findable. Black, of course, plays e6. Now, white in this position is still winning because this blockade is so strong. The queen can still get in, and you can still take everything, and you're obviously still winning. The only thing that white has to do in this position is just make sure the knight stays protected by the bishop. The bishop is a great piece. You just don't want to move the bishop, right? Because if you move the bishop, then I'm going to take the knight on e2. So naturally, white moves the bishop and hangs the knight on e2 and is now completely lost. So white probably had about, 10 different mates in one, fumbled the bag on all of them, and not only did not deliver a mate, and now is just in a regular winning position, white is now lost, okay? What white did in this game was basically have a person interested in them on multiple dates who made multiple suggestive statements that they would like to pursue something and instead decided to go back to their room and, I don't know, play Etch-a-Sketch or whatever the kids do nowadays. Vape, whatever. All right? Don't do that. Bad for you. I don't know, okay? King to d3, and now it's made for... Oh my god, how does this happen? How do we just constantly have the same story in all of these videos? The amount of mates that were on the board for white is sickening. It is sickening, and now black just wins. Black wins because black plays rook to d2. It's not even complicated. King to c4, and that's it. The game is over. The game is over. You just give a check. The only legal move... And now knight to a5. That's it. The king has just absolutely made it. And black does it in a slightly different way here. But black still finds the checkmate. King to c4. And... Oh, yeah, of course. The white king has walked out all the way. So instead of checking it multiple... All right, fine. Rook f2. Rook f2. Sounds good. Minus 18. Queen to d1. Black does not get... Oh, black found it. b5. Oh my god. Knight a5 check. We just went over this. Knight a5. King to d3. It's not made, but it will be. Bishop b5. I mean, it's oh my god, b5. Wait, what? Oh no. King takes b5. Now there's check here. Oh my god. Knight e7. What is going on? Queen to c1 check. King to a2. Bishop b... The king could have just gone to the corner. The black king could have made it to the white corner and lost, by the way, because of bishop d3, bishop c4, but that would have never happened. Bishop b1 check. King to b3. The position is equal. This is an equal position. How is this equal? c4. Now black plays c6. The white king's gone running. The white king has now made it to the opposite end of the board. These two kings never interacted, and they managed to cross over the opponent's territory. Knight to f5, and now white says, I have no idea what to do. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and now king... Oh my god, how much longer is this game going to go on? This is now a queen and rook endgame. Huh? Well, the good news is that now, you know, the king is going to feast on pawns, black is going to feast on pawns. I don't know what's going to happen. Rook to c2. Queen b1 check. King takes. And in this position, black played the move. Queen takes b6. And queen takes b6 was in fact a free pawn. But because the rooks are standing together on the second line, they can check and they can pin the queen to the king. And in terms of a cruel fate, white needed to sneak around to eat the pawns. But by taking one, white opened up the lines and lost their queen. And the rest of the game is straightforward, my friends. As black took the pawn, took the pawn, took the pawn, and in this position, devastated and gutted, white resigned. Now, did white resign correctly? No. I don't think white should have resigned. I think white should have went here and hoped for this. Because I got news for you. I'm not sure black would have checkmated with a king and a rook in 25 seconds on the clock. But we'll never know. Folks, this was a game and a half. The black king was violently hunted out of his kingdom, made to run circles in the woods, multiple checkmates in one, snuck into the opponent's territory. White still held on to an advantage, only to throw it all away, and the king for white now made a walk of shame out as well. It was mate multiple times. They snuck into their opponent's back rank, and unfortunately, it was the perseverance of the two rooks on the second rank that created an unbreakable bond, an impenetrable fortress. And it was on move 58 that white resigned. Whew, what a game. What a game. What a game. That was amazing. That was sensational. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now get out of here.